see you. I see you. Yes. Good morning, everybody. Hey, guys. Hey, Jennifer. Coco. I see Rico. Come on, Rico. Get on your station. I need my co-captain here. What? You want to come up here? Coffee with the Critters won't be the same without you on your station. Come on. Yes, you. Yes. We're calling you. Good morning, everybody. Hey, Samantha. Hey, Rhonda. Get your booty over here. Come here. Ew! I knew that. I was encouraging that to happen. Come on, get up here. Speaking of, what, Rocky? In appreciation of Deaf Dog Awareness Week, sometimes there's a benefit to being deaf around here. Hey, that's right, Rico, what are you talking about? Get up here. What are you talking about? Everybody's what? Why don't you show everybody how cute you are? Why don't you toss it? What are you doing? Peekaboo. So this is Rico. What? Our 12 or 13-year-old, I can't remember, male umbrella cockatoo. Yeah, Rico, that's caca. Don't touch that. What? Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with the Critters. I saw Karen Pratt join. She is the manager here at the Animal Behavior Center. Good morning. And this morning I picked my coffee mug of snow in honor of or appreciation of Deaf Dog Awareness Week. Good morning, Lisa. Hey, everybody. Get my camera straight, and I also look who just went to his station. There you go. He knows Coffee with the Critters, and he knows the camera. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of... Did you get that on your toe? Here, hang on. I always like Rico's feet. Welcome to another episode of Jeannie. Welcome to another episode of Jeannie. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with the Critters. My name is Lara Joseph, owner of the Animal Behavior Center. We're an international educational center teaching people. That's right, Rocky. Teaching people how to work with animals using applied behavior analysis and positive reinforcement, and we do that through all of our online live streaming classes, groups, kind of like this. That's right, Rocky. So for those that are new, because I know we're getting a lot of new people viewing each week. Hey, Adrian. No, she did. Jeannie just said Nancy posted this morning. No, I didn't see that. I haven't been online yet. Yay, good. So for anybody that's following my personal page, I've been on a quest to find Nancy Forrester and help, well, not find her, but locate her and make sure she's okay. She is out of Key West, Florida. And Key West has pretty much been shut down from contact to the outside world for the past 2 weeks due to Hurricane Irma. No, I did not see she posted this morning. I will have to go look, and if she joins this live stream, will somebody tell me? Maybe not. Maybe you shouldn't tell me, because that'll probably be the end of the live stream. Anyways, Nancy is a huge supporter of the Animal Behavior Center, and I'll get back on topic. Oh, great post from Nancy. I can't wait. Okay, I'm going to end that live stream. I'm kidding. Nancy's been a huge supporter of the Animal Behavior Center. She owns Nancy Forrester's Secret Garden in Key West, Florida, and I met her for the first time this past February and March. And just a fantastic woman, heart of gold, and she stayed behind to be with her animals and put a lot at risk. And so I've been on a personal quest to find her, locate her, make sure she's safe, and make sure she gets what she needs and the parrots need. Anyways, That's what has consumed my life for the past 2 weeks. Anyways, and I've had a lot of people say, if they ever go missing, please contact me. I will find you. And here's the thing about me. When I set my sights on something, I pick my what do you want to call them? Destinations, my objectives very carefully. And I think about them. And once I set my mind to something, I just do it. I jump in with both feet and I go full force ahead. So that's why I tell people it's not necessarily easy collaborating with me because I am pretty determined when I set my sights on something. Look who's coming into the camera. I'm going to reinforce that very desired behavior. Good morning, handsome sauce. Good morning. Yeah. So anyways, this week we are going to talk, hey Susie, we are going to talk about, we're going to talk about Deaf Dog Awareness Week. Today is the last day of Deaf Dog Awareness Week. Those of you that know me know I'm a huge supporter of deaf dogs and working with deaf animals and working with any animal. I don't want to call it a disability because if they're born that way, there's no dissing about it. They don't understand life any other way. And hey, Brianna. Good morning, Tim. A lot of times people feel they feel sorry for deaf animals. I don't know why, because many times they don't know life any other way. But we're going to have a future topic on. I don't want this just to be just about deaf dogs. I want it to be about working with deaf animals, because I've worked with several, volunteering, and I still volunteer. I've volunteered for at least 10 years for a wildlife rehabilitation center. And I encourage anybody who's getting in the field of animal behavior, working with animals, training, volunteer at a wildlife rehabilitation center, because especially if you want to practice your work in training using positive reinforcement, using applied behavior analysis. Is it gonna be so cute? I gotta go smooch his face off. Squirrel. Anyways, working at a wildlife rehabilitation center, you are working with numerous species of animals. Numerous. And the really cool thing is you're working with the unexpected. What animals just coming in? Obviously, the animals that see me are ones that cannot be released back into the wild, because the less human interaction, the better, right, Rico? Rico's like, no, get in my cage and hug me now. Sorry, I'm in rare form this morning because I'm like super excited to end this live stream and go see what Nancy Forrester just posted. So working at a wildlife rehabilitation center, which I still volunteer my time there for Nature's Nursery in White House, Ohio, which we're having a fundraiser here next week for them. Like I said, I'm in rare form. Good morning, Felicia. Shout out to Wildlife Rehab. Yeah, you're working with the unexpected. You're working, obviously, majority of animals that come into wildlife rehab are injured. So you're working with, okay, this bird cannot fly, this animal cannot run, this animal's missing a leg, this animal's missing an eye, this animal may be deaf, this animal may be blind, this animal may be an imprint. What else? You know, there is the unexpected. You want to work in applied behavior analysis in the field of animals? Go volunteer your services at a wildlife rehabilitation center. You are going to have the best educators. And you're working with a lot of fear, because these animals majority of them are born in the wild. Why am I talking about this? Isn't this Deaf Dog Awareness Week? Majority of animals are born in the wild, and they are raised to be afraid of humans. Now all of a sudden, here you are standing in front of them, and this is going to be the rest of your life. And that's why I started volunteering at a wildlife rehab center. I started before I got into applied behavior analysis. And I want to give a huge shout out to Lara if she's on here. She's the one that gave me the all clear to work with all of their animals. She saw I was out there. Nature's Nursery is about a 40-minute drive for me, and I was out there pretty much 5 to 6 days a week, and I was training all that time. Rain, wind, snow, 15 below. Hey, Puff, good to see you. Anyways, and the reinforcer behind why I kept going was the behavior change I saw in the animals and empowering them. And speaking of that, let me show you something. I saved this for this morning. Puffy, tell Jill I said hi. And congratulations. Anyways, Bellatrix, for those that don't know, there's a Eurasian eagle owl behind those curtains. Hey, Ashley. And kind of sad about this, very sad about this, but today is her last full day here at the Animal Behavior Center. She is going back to Ohio Ohio Nature Education tomorrow. Mano will be coming here for the full day tomorrow. She's purchased a day with the trainer to spend the whole day with me working with different animals or just working with Bellatrix and showing how I got the behaviors I did. So I wanted to save pulling up her curtain for live here on Coffee with the Critters. What you think, Pipsqueak? So much progress is happening here. So we put the sheet on every night because this is a predator living with a lot of prey animals. This is behavior that we shaped. We had to shape the sheets going on the cage. She doesn't make any noise at night, flying. Hey, Steve. So we weren't really worried about that. What we were worried about was movement. Since owls are nocturnal, we were worried about movement in the evening, so that's why we have the sheets. And we pin the sheets down so the sheets don't move as she flies around at night. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So that's Bellatrix, the Eurasian eagle owl from Ohio Nature Education. She will be leaving tomorrow. So those of you that are members of the Animal Behavior Center have watched, that's right, Rock, have watched me do pretty much daily live streams on how I train her. So as soon as I end this live stream, I'm going to go train her probably one of my last times. She'll be leaving tomorrow. What, Rocky? But you know what? I will be very sad. Yeah, she's got to wait until after I'm done with the live stream to feed her. I will be very sad, but we have 3 animals waiting to occupy that cage right after her. And you're just going to have to wait and see what that is. So, welcome everybody to another episode of Coffee with the Critters. Good morning, Deb. We have been doing Coffee with the Critters every Sunday morning, minus a few mornings, for the past, I don't even know, 2.5 years. I think in March it'll be going on 3 years. So I want to give a shout out and thank you. Hey, Mia, thank you everybody for your support. I appreciate it. So today we're going to be discussing working with deaf animals, and that is why I chose to bring Levi out with me today, This is Levi, our deaf Old English Bulldog. Yay! And I didn't bring Snow out with me today. Snow is our deaf and blind dog, because working with deaf is totally different than working with deaf and blind. I primarily focus a lot of my work in working with exotics because there's a very powerful message there in teaching people working with applied behavior analysis in exotics, because a lot of exotic animals, not that domestic animals can't hurt you, but a lot of exotic animals can do some serious bodily damage, if not death. And so why I focus my work on exotics is behind the message. I really like to work with exotics. The message is there in using applied behavior analysis, environmental events to control behavior. We all need to control behavior. We control our own behavior. We control the behavior of the people in our household. We determine what time our kids go to school, when they go to school, when people get medications. So control is not a bad word. It's something we all have to do for survival and survival of the fittest, right? It's just how we do it. How we do it determines our happiness. And that is why I focus on, you're very welcome, Carrie. That is why I focus on the work that I do, because I like to empower these animals. And I'm going to show you some work here with Levi. Levi is our deaf Old English Bulldog who will be 4 years old on October 11th. Yeah, I cannot believe I've had dogs for 4 years. But like I was saying, the majority of my work is on exotics, but definitely not limited to, because if you're moving, I'm using applied behavior analysis on you, whether you realize it or not. And you're probably doing it on me too. Because exotics can hurt you. And that is the message behind why I do what I do. So I like to work with animals that are undomesticated and can hurt you, because the power of the message is behind there. And yes, you can control this environment by reinforcing behavior you want to see increase. Right? I hate to make you drop that little piece of wood. I'll hold it for you. So I train exotics, and exotics train me. And if you just saw what Rico did, I gave him a pine nut, and he held it in his mouth, and he tried to give it back to me, so I stuck my fingers in his cage, and I held it for him. And he could eat that pine nut in one, all at once, but I held it for him, and he chooses to break it off into 3 or 4 pieces, okay? And I do that. Why? It's just a form of communication. It builds trust. This is a form of communication. That is why I do what I do. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm not going to be able to finish this. So I don't mind animals training me as well. Non-human animals, I should say. Pat would appreciate that I just said that. Because this is teamwork. This is teamwork. On Saturdays, I'm here all by myself. It's the only day of the week I'm here by myself. And I train all day, and I don't stop. Because training is communication. Training is teaching. What are you teaching, and how are you doing it? Carrie, someone was giving away a deaf, partially blind dog. I did my research and had met the dog. I was so prepared, and the owner sent the dog The owner sent the dog to her sister in Montana. I was, oh man, Carrie, I can help you find another one. Training is teamwork. And I got it. If I train domesticated animals, I prefer to train ones that can't hear or can't see and hear or whatever, because those of you that know I went and got Snow, our deaf and blind puppy, I drove to North Carolina. I don't care if that animal is in Australia. If I want it and if I want to help it, I will fly to the ends of the earth to get that animal, because I'm going to be spending the rest of my life with that animal, hopefully. So anyways, when I went and got Snow, it was because it was for several reasons, but one of them was, wow, she is going to be such a great educator to the public. And I had every intention of going and picking her up, training her, and rehoming her. So many times people ask me, what is the toughest animal you've ever had to train? And I am here to tell you, it depends on the individual animal, but it's probably Snow. Yeah, deaf, blind, border collie mix. Does it get any more complicated than that? But anyways, training deaf animals, and I'm going to show you some of my work with Levi. It's not hard. It's not hard at all. It's not hard at all. You know what it is? Why people find it complicated? Rocky. It's because it's different. You have to think outside of the box. It's just a different form of communication. I find training deaf animals, I don't want to say I don't know why, because I do know why. I find training deaf animals very easy. Because when an animal is missing one of its senses, it heightens the rest that it still has. Bellatrix has taken one of her boxes into her crate and she's tearing it apart. She's like, is it 10 o'clock yet? Training deaf animals increases the senses of the rest of the ones that they have. So let me show you, okay? One of the first things I will train a deaf animal, and you'll see me do it here, is, sorry, trying to get my camera to lock, and I can't, is eye contact. And we talk about this in the Deaf Dog Project. So, I just can't talk to him. So he is looking for information. All he's doing is looking for information. I'm gonna point the camera at him a while, because watch his eye contact with me. And that is exactly what you want. Reinforce eye contact. So what am I reinforcing it with, you guys? A bridge is a sound or signal that tells the animal that's the particular behavior I'm looking for. And those of you in our memberships and our projects know that is the eye and disc, immediacy, okay? So watch this. I need to give this, tells him, that's the behavior I'm looking for. So how do I know if I'm reinforcing eye contact? How do I know? So I'm using petting and attention as a positive reinforcer. How do I know it's working? You got it, Carrie. You got it, Nicole. Thanks, Terry. How do I know this is working? Reinforcing eye contact. I'm also using the S in disc here. You got it, Nicole. Yay! Nicole is a very active member in our level 2 membership. Yes. So I know it's working because the behavior is maintaining or increasing. I know it's reinforcing. Okay. And as I say that, he's done with me. But your reinforcers continually change. And we just talked about this in our podcast in the membership, how behavior is contextual. So if I was working with Snow, our deaf and blind dog, if I run my finger down the side of her, that means turn around and go the other direction. Levi has no idea. We'll see. So sit down. You're live. Can you go down? Thank you. Stay. So my attention may not, it's changed, the reinforcer is changing. And that's key in working with animals, that's why I tell people, build your list of reinforcers, because they are going to change. As soon as your environment changes, your reinforcer is going to change. So this means come. This means sit. This means down. This means stay. This means good. This means can you guys see that? That means your reinforcer's coming. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Pow! Nice. Sit. Good. Yay! So in the Deaf Dog Project, we're getting ready to work on preparing deaf dogs for the medical exam. Levi has an ear infection, and I've been training him before that to get ready for medication in your ears. And he's letting me squirt medication in his ears. And you know what the reinforcer is for that? Levi does not like his ears touched. Do you know what the reinforcer is? Attention. This means, yay, that was so awesome, yay, ah. You can see how thrilled he is. But anyways, we're going to be working on that this week in the Deaf Dog Project. We're going to be working on nail trims. We're going to be working on head targets. We're going to be working on muzzle training. We're going to be working on temperature taking. I know. It's probably a good thing you can't hear me. Because you don't know what's coming. Anyways, I can show you different things I work with him as well. I think, what, Rocky? Since Levi has come into our life, we have started training all the animals using sign language. I do all the time. There's really, if you're not communicating, if you don't think you're communicating with your animal via sign language, I would highly suggest you second guess that, because even though we are very vocal with our animals, majority of animals are not paying attention to what we're saying. They're paying attention to our body language. I guarantee that. I guarantee that. That's why when I train, if I'm by myself, a lot of times my bridges are silent. They're visual. A bridge is a sound or signal that tells the animal that's the particular behavior that's earning you this, your treat. And it's key. It's very important. That's the eye and disc, immediacy. And if your bridge is off, you are totally miscommunicating, you could be miscommunicating to your animal. And that is the #1 reason for superstitious behaviors, which is going to be an upcoming topic in our membership. So for those that I highly recommend you intentionally teach, hey Mia, your animal's sign language. Because if your animal is not deaf yet, hey Sharon, there may be a day that it is. There have been so many times, because I work with applied behavior analysis, I am trained to be very observant of behavior. Watch. I'm constantly watching behavior and identifying what's reinforcing it, what's punishing it, what's an aversive look like, gathering reinforcers. Because I understand it, I can't help it. But I highly suggest that people start communicating using more intentional sign language with their animals, because there is a day that is going to come where Rocky, that is so pretty. There's prep. I think we're getting ready to have an audible explosion. Right, Levi? He's like, I don't have no idea what that means. Because there's probably going to be a day that your animal does lose its hearing. And peekaboo, the more you incorporate sign language with intentional sign language with your animal, the less stressful it's going to be for your animal, but more than likely the less stressful it's going to be for you. Because so many people stress about animals that lose a certain sense or born without one. Anyways, I'll do some different training with Levi. I want to show you. And I want to go back to something Mia said. Let me see. Hang on. Mia. Where are you? I love training with both verbal cues and hand signals, as you never know when a hearing animal may lose. Yep, exactly, Mia. And I go through and read everything as soon as I'm done. A lot of times when I'm training by myself, even with an animal that can peekaboo, can hear, nothing's coming out of my mouth. My bridges are silent. My cues, you can't hear. Because I know that animal is primarily looking at your body language. So, I mean, I do put different behaviors on a verbal cue, because if animals are looking away from me and I need them to hear me, unlike Levi, if I need them to hear me, it's good that they know that verbal cue as well. So a lot of times when I'm training, giving a verbal cue, like if I'm asking a bird to come, that's my signal. That's it. And then when I'm asking a bird to fly away, I just open my hand. That's it. And my bridge is usually reaching for the reinforcer. But I'm a real stickler on people giving verbal bridges. We've got a workshop coming up here in a couple of weeks, which is sold out. I'm a big stickler on verbal bridges, because as long as that person can hear, because I've got to communicate a message to that person. I've got to train that person in order to train that animal. And so I'm a big stickler. Where's your verbal bridge? Where's your verbal bridge? Once you can prove to me you've got your verbal bridge down, then I'll teach how to drop it. Because once you've got your verbal bridge down, you understand the importance. But a couple of different things I wanted to talk about. Let's do some more training with Levi. You want to? Let's see. What can we do? First of all, I wanted to say, do you guys think Coffee with the Critters is too long? I go for an hour. Should I go for a half an hour? Should I shorten this? Hey, Pat! I talked about you earlier, Pat. Should I shorten Coffee with the Critters? And something else I wanted to say is, go to the animal behavior, if you can. No. No. Okay, never mind. No. Not long enough. Okay. I was thinking this morning, it's like, I wonder if Coffee with the Critters is too long. Should I shorten it up? Am I boring? Am I losing content? But may I ask something? If too short now, go to the Animal Behavior Center's Facebook page, our business Facebook page. Tell us what you like about Coffee with the Critters. Will you tell us what you like about Coffee with the Critters? And if you feel like it, give us a review. I'm the one that watches everything. You know what takes me so long in the morning is because I personally respond to every email. We probably get about 700 emails here a day. Whew, Levi, wow. I personally respond to every email. When I'm looking at all the messages and things that people post, I am personally watching all of that. Sometimes Karen and Crystal will help me, but I like to do that myself because that's just me. I like interacting with the people. And I like interacting with people. You guys are my reinforcers. And the work I see you doing with the animals, that is the reinforcer. Why I get up at 6 o'clock every Sunday morning to make sure I'm down here for Coffee with Critters. So I was also listening to a video on YouTube this week by one of the people that I look up to, and I think I posted it in level 2 membership. Something he said resonated with me, which was, we can learn so much about ourselves and other humans through working with animals. And that is so true. When I heard him say that, I almost started crying. I don't cry because I'm sad. I cry when something really moves me. I cry when I'm looking at a beautiful piece of art. I cry when I'm listening to classical music, and I do. And I get crazy listening to classical music because it moves me. And I'll start crying. And I cry because because it's touching me. And that's why I work with animals, because it is the most beautiful, animals are the most beautiful piece of art that I have ever seen. Yeah, that's a piece of art right there. And the more I train, look who's making some serious eye contact with me. And the more I train and interact, this is art in motion. The more I train and interact with this beautiful piece of art, the more this relationship, am I boring you? The more this relationship increases. And that stuff right there makes me cry. Because that's an honor to work with that or that. Yeah. Anyways, off my little spiel. But what he was saying is, we can learn so much about ourselves through working with animals. So much about our own behavior. And I've said that. Like my travel season is getting ready to start, and I'm going to be very busy until next June. Because I'm traveling, giving workshops, what have you, and going to Key West. When I'm giving these different workshops, I pour my heart and soul into it, because I am so passionate about the work that I do and communicating this message and the importance in using applied behavior analysis with animals. Because what's the alternative? Using aversives, coercion, which is negative reinforcement, do it or else. B.F. Skinner said the main form of behavior modification today is coercion. And he is true. That is so right. Last night when I was driving to dinner, I was thinking about behavior. And there's so much negative reinforcement behind driving on an expressway. I think about this stuff all the time. There is so much negative reinforcement in driving on an expressway. Think about that the next time you get on the expressway. Thanks, Terry. Negative reinforcement is behavior that maintains or increases to escape avoided consequence. That's the minus. It's called negative, not because it's undesired. It's negative because something is withdrawn from the environment. An easy way to think about that is escape avoidance behavior. Does this behavior maintain or increase to escape avoided consequence? Yeah, if that doesn't have the expressway written all over it. I was thinking last night, I was like, why am I going 80 miles an hour when it's 60? It's because I'm being negatively reinforced to go. Why am I talking about this when I'm supposed to be talking about Deaf Dog Awareness Week? Squirrel. Anyways, it's to escape avoid a consequence. It's to avoid upsetting the person behind me. It's to get out of the way of the person that's trying to pass me. So much coercion and negative reinforcement happens on the expressway. That's why I speed. That's why I slow down. That's why I get over. It's what reinforces road rage. Road rage happens. It's reinforced because choices are taken away. I always give driving on an expressway as examples for negative reinforcement because it's there. When I talk about behavior, go to a grocery store. It's there. That's why I never go. You got another piece of wood in your mouth. I'm sorry. Can I have that? Take a piece of wood? I've never tried this with you though. I grab my fingers because he wants me to come in. And if Mia is still in here, we talked about working with animals who clearly understand passing up immediate reinforcement because they know a larger reinforcer, a reinforcer of higher value is coming. Mia, I think when I had one of my behavior pages, you and I were talking about this and I shared a video with you. But Rico and I do this intentionally. I'll stick my fingers in his cage in the morning because that's the D and disc, deprivation. He's been deprived of my attention all night. And I know attention is a highly valued reinforcer of his. So I intentionally, this is why training is happening all the time. I intentionally put my finger in there because he's been deprived of my attention all night. So it's of high value right now. I put my finger in there and then I say, if you let go of my finger, I'll come in and give you hugs and kisses. And you can't see those wheels turning. And he kind of, that's right, Rock. He'll start to let go, then he stops and he grabs it back. And he'll start to let go, and he stops and grabs it back. And then I go, I'll come in and smooch your face off if you'll let go of my finger. And you'll see him go. Then he puts his face down, or his foot down, and I immediately, and I bridge, because it takes me a couple seconds to walk around the side of his cage, go in, and then I deliver the mother love. Grab him, smooch his face. But we were talking about, it's the same guy, Jacques, who I was talking about. The more, he's one of the people I will read anything he has. He was the one, in one of his books, he was talking about the intelligence of animals. And I don't know if he said it or other people say it or whatever. Once you enter the world of defining intelligence, holy cow, be prepared for debate. Rock and roll. Animals are as smart as they have to be, right? to survive. But once you bring them into captivity, under our care, be careful. That's why I love working with parrots, because they are some of the most manipulative, intricate animals, complex, unique animals I've ever worked with. And there was a day I didn't like birds, believe that? Hey, Mano, I will see you tomorrow. What? But anyway, something he said is, in defining intelligence, is that if you want to define intelligence this way, is when an animal understands to pass up immediate reinforcement to wait for delayed reinforcement, a reinforcer in the future that is of higher value. And that happens every day with this little dude. It happens with a lot of our animals because immediacy is a big factor in reinforcement. Huge. So that's why we have a lot of bad habits. That's why we have a lot of bad habits, because that reinforcement, bam, is immediate. It's there. I'll work with this later because I want self-gratification right now. So for an animal to be able to pass up a reinforcer for immediate reinforcer for one of higher value in the future, that's pretty intricate. Terry, I'm gonna have to read that in a little bit. Thanks, Karen. I have a feeling I know which person you're talking about. Boom, 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 all of a sudden. So thank you. Anybody, Karen's on here as the Animal Behavior Center. When I log off, when I sign off of this live stream, I'll be on as the Animal Behavior Center. But I want to give a huge shout out to Karen Pratt. She is the manager here at the Animal Behavior Center. And it's usually her or Crystal Phelps, which is our social media director. She's in charge of our Instagram account. Yeah, go Karen! Everybody give a shout out to Karen, because Karen is a huge part of how the Animal Behavior Center runs and operates. When I leave town, she's taking care of everything that means the absolute world to me. And that is not an easy job. Being my veterinarian is not something people really look forward to. Anybody in charge of taking care of my animals, that's a hefty price, because this is what means the world to me. And if I leave and something happens, imagine that's what Karen does. And I don't even have to ask her to do it. She just does it. Yeah. So I'm going to positively reinforce the hell out of that behavior. So I want to show you some work with Levi. Let's see, because we've got 10 minutes to go. And let me show you some communication via a deaf animal, with a deaf animal via sign language, and teaching that, okay? And I love training deaf animals. For those of you, take a look at Deaf Dogs Rock. I'm a huge supporter of DDR. DeafDogsRocks.com, Christina Lee, her and her awesome husband are the founders and organizers of Deaf Dogs Rock. They are also big supporters of ours, and that's not why I support them. I support them because they are tireless efforts into educating and providing shelter and spay and neutering of deaf dogs that lose homes. And let me tell you, Levi's story, he was going to be put down because he was deaf. As a puppy. And also, Karen, can you throw up on cue? Karen, can you put up the link for on our website for the Deaf Dog Project as well? We do live streaming, helping people understand how to train deaf dogs via live streaming and monthly Q&As. But Levi was going to be put down because he was deaf. And I asked, okay, why? And they told me because he's deaf. And I was like, what am I not understanding here? Why? Yeah, exactly, Rico. I was like, what am I not understanding here? And they said, well, we don't want him to fall in the wrong hands. And I was like, well, so educate the people. Don't let them fall in the wrong hands. A lot of deaf dogs, and Christina told me this, Christina Lee at Deaf Dogs Rocks, who will be interviewing. A lot of people let undesired behaviors slide with deaf dogs because they feel, oh, there's Crystal, yay! There's Crystal too. They're both signed on as the Animal Behavior Center. I want to give a huge shout out to Crystal Phelps as well. She does a lot of work here within Richmond. She's starting to train a lot, help me train a lot of the animals. Crystal rocks. Yay! She's been here for almost a year. Has it been almost a year, Crystal? Because it was at the October event last year. Anyways, Christina Lee told me that a lot of people let the behavior, the undesired behavior of deaf dogs slide because people feel sorry for them. And the more, hey Lydia, the more people feel sorry for them, the worse that undesired behavior continues, developing a history of reinforcement. And is the #1 reason why deaf dogs lose their homes. Yes, it's because you've unknowingly trained that very undesired behavior. And like me, letting Snow sleep on the couch. Would you like that? So, let's train something for Levi. Let's train something to Levi, okay? I want to show you. I know, Amanda, I didn't see what you said, but you probably typed dead, didn't you? Yeah, it's great because the D is right next to the F, and I do it all the time. Hi. So let's get Levi back here, and let me show you. My dog treat pouch must be in the house. We have different treat pouches for different species of animals here, so to prevent any cross-contamination. So let's train. Levi knows a foot target. And let's shape a head target, okay? A target is when you ask an animal to touch a particular body part to an object. So why would you need to train a dog, especially a deaf dog, a foot target? I want your foot to touch something. I want your foot to touch something. Do it again, do it again, do it again. Because it's communicating, okay? And look who's sitting right here beside me. You can't see, but he is. Because it's communication. And Vicki Ronchetti, who's an awesome dog trainer out of California and a very good friend of mine, so a shout out to Vicki as well. She's the one that told me, she told me something several years ago, and I was like, God, that makes so much sense. Because I was like, I don't have time to train tricks. I do, rarely will I train tricks, because so much of my time training is for grooming or husbandry behaviors, medical, vet prep, to take the stress out of that animal's environment. But Vicki told me training tricks helps practice your training, helps perfect your training. So why would I train a foot target? Because it keeps that line of communication going and helps that animal just keep looking at you for information. So many times our animals are looking at us for information and we're not giving it to them. And a lot of undesired behaviors happen when they're like, if you read that animal's body language, they're sitting there communicating with you, but so many times we're not paying attention. Okay, let's train a foot target. Or let me show you. He already knows a foot target, but let me show you one. Let's just pick something. Oh, I got the perfect thing. Okay, we'll do a foot target, and then I'll do a shape of head target real quick. When I say shape, it means the behavior hasn't been learned yet. So, okay, let's get Levi to touch this dice with his foot. See my bridge? See how quick it is? Because if I delay it, I can be confusing to the animal. Okay? Let's shape it up. Okay, so he clearly knows a foot target. So that's going to help when we're shaping a nail trim. Or all I'm doing right now, what am I doing? I'm preparing him for the vet visit. Okay? Now let's do two things real quick. Rico, you're so cute. Let's shape him to touch this with his nose, because he knows to touch it with his foot. How am I going to teach him to touch it with his nose? This is applied behavior analysis, my friends. So he's looking for information. He was going to come, and I didn't want him to, so I gave him information on what to do. Okay, this is using environmental events to control behavior. Let me move the camera real quick. Whoop. Okay. We were working on this in the parrot project, shaping a beak target, shaping a foot target to prepare an animal, to prepare a bird to step onto your hand. Okay, so if I want him to touch it with his nose, and he knows touching it with his foot, and here's the key in bridging. Watch this. Using, environmental events. See, my size, my immediacy, my bridge. Because my treats are way over there. So my bridge is so important right now. Okay? Once you shape that target, now you can move your animal from point A to point B. So let's start moving it. Bella's like, is it 10 o'clock yet? Hang on. So, what behavior did I just bridge? Him staying while I stood up and got more treats. Don't forget to communicate to the animal what you want. Okay, let's get him to move. I do a lot of off-contact training with animals. There's dangerous animals I work with that I can't physically touch because I'd be putting my life in danger. So I shape targets. Because I need that animal to move from point A to point B without me having any physical contact. Okay? You rock. Bink, bink. What do you guys think of that? I love training. This is what I do for a living, and I'm very honored to be able to do this for a living because this is how I get to spend 18 hours of my day every single day, and I love it. I love the work of applied behavior analysis, love working with animals, and I love teaching others. So anyways, thanks Karen or Crystal for putting up our website. If you guys like Coffee with the Critters and you want to see more of this live stream training, I do this almost every single day in our memberships. Take a look at our memberships at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. Membership level 1 and 2 and 3 for corporate. 1 is for your animal lovers with companion animals. Level 2 is for people who want more intense work and seeing weekly live streams. Level 3 is for corporations such as wildlife rehabilitation centers, which we're getting CEUs. We can offer people CEUs through that, continuing education. Wildlife rehabilitation centers, shelters, zoos. Who else do we have in there? I know I'm forgetting some. But organizations. Anyways, if you're more interested in species specific, we have the Pig Project, the Parrot Project, the Deaf Dog Project, the Snow Project. Anyways, my volunteer or our volunteers are here, so that is my signal to sign out. I've got to go put Willie in the crate, the turkey vulture here from Nature's Nursery, and I've got to feed the awesome Bellatrix for one of our last times. Thank you guys so much, and I so appreciate your support. Please go to the Animal Center's Facebook page and tell us why you like Coffee with the Critters. All right? Thanks so much, guys. I'm bridging you guys. Thank you. See you next week. I gotta go find out what's going on with Nancy Forrester. Hi.